Hi, I'm Tim Carter from AskTheBuilder.com, and I want to show you today a really neat project. I'm getting ready to install some Armstrong laminate flooring, and it's really a neat product. It's an architectural material where they try to simulate reclaimed wood. In my case, I wanted to use, a natural oak, and I think it's really a neat product. Take a look at this. So here are 3 boxes of the material. I've got them already opened up, and you can tell that it pretty much looks like oak, and of course there's different grains, and you can see how they've simulated the saw marks, and it's a really interesting product. And what we're doing is I'm putting it in this room right here. Room measures 7 feet wide, this dimension, and it's 12 feet all the way corner to corner here. And it's got a really interesting heating system. I installed a radiant heating floor mat, and you can actually see the lines right here of the floor mat, the electric heating cables. They are covered up with a 1/4 inch of thin set, and it looks kind of sloppy. I got some paint on it from the walls. I decided to paint the walls first before putting in the laminate floor, so I don't have to put drop cloths down. And I'm sorry for the sound bouncing around this room, but there's nothing I can do about that. But the manufacturer said to cover the radiant floor mat with a 1/4 inch of thin set, which I did and got it pretty smooth. It's not troweled like you would concrete, but it's smooth enough, and it's going to make a great underlayment for this laminate flooring. Now the first thing to do is, and I've got them right here, is you want to read the instructions. These are on the underside of the box that came with the Armstrong. It's really not that hard to install this floor. You'd be surprised. It looks like a lot of writing, but it's really not that. Really, the entire installation instructions are just right there. These are just some illustrations to help you understand what they say in writing. But understand this about the product. I'll hold it up. As you look at the edge of this material, it's got a tongue, right here on this side, on this edge right here, and that interlocks with the groove, that goes down this side. And it's very important how you install this material. And the material also has interlocking edges at each end of the board right here. Very, very clever design. When you read the instructions, you'll determine that they want you to start in the left corner, and they want you to work to the right. You have to maintain a 1/4 inch gap, and I do that using this material here. This is some just 1/4 inch plywood, and I cut it into 1.5 inch strips, and I'm going to go over on that wall and just kind of set it up in place and butt the material against this 1/4 inch strip. It's really, really important to create a gap for this laminate flooring. We'll talk more about that in a minute as we get some installed. I've got the first strip, actually the first 3 pieces of laminate flooring installed. Let's take a look at it, and it'll all make sense in just a second. Well, first you can see the underlayments down. Nice product. It acts as a partial vapor barrier, and it smooths out the floor, and it allows a nice surface for this floor to float on. And that's what you need to understand about laminate flooring. This is a floating floor system. It's not glued down. It's not nailed down. The floor moves, and it will move as you have changes in humidity in your home. And that's why it's so important when you install this material to create this spacing that they're talking about. You can see I've got a little piece of the plywood there to ensure that I've got a 1/4 inch gap. And there are the strips that are keeping the gap between the first row and the wall. Really, really important. I like to put, a long piece, at a seam where the 2 pieces join, because that helps keep it aligned. Really, really important. You'll see I did the same thing right there. And of course I had to trim a little bit off the last piece to maintain the 1/4 inch gap down there. But now what I'm going to do is, I'm really, really lucky in my case. These pieces of laminate flooring are about 4 feet long, and my room is just about, it's just at 12 feet, maybe a little longer. So I have very little waste. I really luck out. But you don't want the, you don't want all the seams to line up. That would just look horrible. It's not right. And you'll see how we do it in just a second. But I'm just going to cut off about 16 inches. I'm going to make a 16-inch cut on a full piece. So it starts, the seam will be right about here. And you'll see that in a second. Here's the best part. The piece that's left over after the cut will fit all the way down here at the end. I may have to trim off just about 1/8 of an inch to make it fit, but you'll see that in just a second. So let's go ahead and install, the first piece of the next row, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm ready to make the first cut on the first piece of the second row, but before I do, I want to explain it to you so it makes sense, so you don't make a mistake. This is many rookies will make this mistake. Take a look. All right, here's the next piece, and if I was just installing it as a full piece, this is the way it would go in, because it's all important that this groove is on the right side, because here is a tongue. This is the tongue side, this is the groove side, and this tongue is going to interlock with the grooves on the first row. All right, so I measured over 16 inches. You can see the 16-inch mark, and this is not critical in my case. And I made a line, and this is the cut line. But just so you know, I'm not going to cut on this line. In other words, I'm not going to cut with the finished material facing up, because I'm going to use a circular saw, and if I did that, I might chip the material. So I'm going to flip the board over, and I'm going to, make this mark on the underside and cut, with the underside facing up. It's very important. But what will happen is, let's go ahead and cut that piece, put it in, or I'll actually show you how it interlocks, and then we will, I'll show you how the next full piece works. And after you see that, you're going to understand there's not much to putting in the rest of the floor. It's basically just wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat all the way through. If you want to discover more home improvement tips, go to AskTheBuilder.com.